what was childhood like? What were the things that you think no in retrospect that led you down that road?
Childhood for me, if you were on the outside looking in, you would have thought that we were, if there's any such thing, the perfect American family, you know, except for the fact of my father, because everybody knew he was batshit crazy. Um, but I grew up in a family owned and operated general contracting company. My grandfather, Frank Scheetz, was a coal miner from West Virginia, joined the Navy, and retired high ranking. And when he got out, uh, he started a company, general contractor company. It was all family that worked. And so I didn't grow up without money. I was well taken care of. And by that, I mean I was fed and clothed. The rough part about my childhood is how I was treated, so to speak, how I was raised. I grew up with my biological father and my stepmother. And so basically, I was raised in an extremely, extremely strict environment. I was not allowed to go over friends' houses after school. I was actually brought to school by my stepmother because she worked for the bus company. So I rode her bus. She drove for special ed. So I was transported to school and home under her watch. I was not allowed to play with the kids on the street. I was secluded to my bedroom. And if I was to play outside, I played by myself. Everything was about books and arithmetic. Most kids like to watch movies, play video games. I was locked in my room. I would be locked in my room for hours at a time. And I would have either a book in front of me that I would have to read through, or I would have like a math book in front of me that I would have to work through. And I was abused, physically abused on pretty much a daily basis. I guess the best way I could describe it is they passed me back and forth. I got more of the violent beatings from my father. He was the one who enjoyed using the belt. I have been beaten right outside in my front driveway in front of an entire neighborhood. I've been thrown down staircases, put through walls. This is all before the age of 13, mind you. So if you can imagine throwing a 9-year-old boy down a staircase, it was really strict and it was really abusive. So it was really hard. I didn't have any type of freedoms, so to speak. I think some of the toughest things I can remember is like if I had a bad day at school, I was in special ed. I was in a behavioral class. Go figure. Not only did I have a not necessarily a learning disability, but I had a behavioral issue. And so if I had an incident in class where I acted out or lashed out or whatever, one of their favorite things to do to me is if the weather was nice, if it was in the summertime, they would actually put me out in the front of the house, in front of the neighborhood. The entire neighborhood could see this. They would put me out in the driveway and they would make me kneel on stones. And they would leave me there and I would have to kneel on these stones and my back would have to be up straight. My ass could not sag. I had to be straight up with my knees on these stones and I'd have to stay there for hours. And if I started to sag, he'd come behind me with the belt and hit me until I stood up straight again on my knees.
This is the Knocking Doors Down podcast, featuring celebrities, experts, and everyday people who have overcome adversities, including addiction, mental health, and trauma, to live purposeful lives. And that's what Knocking Doors Down is all about.